Welcome, welcome everybody. I'm Rabbi Devorah Lynn, co-founder of Jewish Earth Alliance. And Jewish Earth Alliance, some of you, this may be your first network, our monthly network meeting, gathering, where we brief everybody on the action alert for the month. I see some of our very regular and experienced people and new Zoomers coming on as well. We know many of you encountered our work advocating for climate legislation last week with your senators for our Tu Bishvat Lobby Day. And we'll have a celebration and a report on that exciting day after we begin our meeting in our usual ways. I want to mention something that came up with a member that, oddly enough, who would have known, that blurry and virtual backgrounds present neurological problems for people, migraines and even seizures. And it's not just from long-term watching, it can happen very quickly. And so we're going to start asking, we're going to ask our members, our partners, to not use those backgrounds during the meeting so that we have inclusivity from more people who are bothered by it. I know you might be, I know this doesn't go over big with some people. You might be worried about your housekeeping, or you may really be attached to your palm trees, but just think of the people that you are inviting in because you don't use it. So thank you very much for everyone for hearing us out on that. So we'll begin in our usual way with an inspiration. And tonight we have Rabbi Hazzan Marcia Tilchin, who founded the Jewish Collaborative of Orange County, California, an emergent nonprofit that builds community through collaboration with Jewish leaders and Jewish institutions. She's a graduate of the Cantorial School of JTS, Jewish Theological Seminary, and the Rabbinic Seminary at the Ziegler School in Los Angeles. Rabbi Hazzan Tilchin has dedicated her cantor and rabbinate to lay leader empowerment, program innovation, community service, and bridge building. It's so wonderful to have you here this evening, Rabbi Tilchin, to open and inspire our national monthly briefing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the honor. So good to be. I haven't been at a meeting in a while, and I'm grateful to be back. I thought I'd begin with a song that brings me comfort in heavy times. Please sing along with me, because I know you all know this. When you're down and troubled, and you need some loving care, and nothing is going right, close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend.
Beautiful.
I feel like right now, maybe more than any time I can ever think of, I really need my friends. I need to be able to call people and reach out and say bad things if I feel them in a way that um, feels safe and helpful. And so this song is really resonates for me right now in a new way. I wanted to talk a little bit about um, my experience watching the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live the other night, which I I could not. I don't watch TV anymore since the election, but I could not pull myself away from the television. And I was thinking about why is that? I've always enjoyed the show. I was a teenager when it came on. I've had the blessing of living 50 additional years, and now I'm in my early 60s. And I was thinking it was very formative in shaping who I became as a person. I was a comedian. I was a sketch comedian for a number of years, and before I became religious again in my late 20s, and found my way back to Judaism. But I want to say that I realized what a snapshot into American history those shows were for 50 years. That was really the power of it for me, to realize that you could look at their first season up to their last, and you can realize how quickly and stunningly the world changes decade to decade. Their 10th anniversary was different than their 20th and their 30th and their 40th. And if anybody had told me in the 40th anniversary the regression of women's rights that we'd be experienced between years 40 and 50, I would have had a hard time believing you. So where's the inspiration from that? You're saying, Rabbi Tilchin, so far you're just a downer. um, and what I want to say is that things always change. The pendulum always swings. If you would look from the 70s to the 90s, even to the early 2000s, you would have said, wow, look how far we've come for women and awareness and LGBTQ rights. So many wonderful things that we could say. And I believe in my heart that we will be able to say that again. Looking from 50 to 60 and 60 to 70, I will not be here at the 100th anniversary. I'd be very unusual if I was, but I just want to say and again, it's not about Saturday Night Live in any way. It's just using that as a measure of time, something that I could really relate to that was visceral. And I'd like to close my words with you with the psalm that I say every morning that gets me out of bed. It's part of our traditional liturgy. It's Psalm 30. I'm going to read it in English and then close with a little musical chatima. A psalm of David, a song for the dedication of the temple. I extol you, God. You raised me up. You did not permit foes to rejoice over me. Lord, I cried out and you healed me. You saved me from the pit of death. Sing to the Lord, you faithful, acclaiming God's holiness. God's anger lasts a moment. God's love is for a lifetime. Tears may linger for a night, but joy comes with the dawn. While at ease, I once thought nothing can shake my security. Favor me, and I'm a mountain of strength. Hide your face, Lord, and I am terrified. To you, God, would I call. Before the Lord would I plead. What profit is there if I am silenced? What benefit if I go to my grave? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness? Hear me, God, be gracious, be my help. You turned my mourning into dancing. You changed my sackcloth into robes of joy, that I might sing your praise unceasingly, that I might thank you, Lord my God, forever. Ahafachta mispedi, למחולי, פיתחת שקי, ותעזרני שמחה, למען יזמרך, כבוד ולא ידום, אדוני אלוהי, לעולם עודך. Yada die 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 die. Yai die 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 die. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Nothing like music to lift our souls, our spirits. We know we have work to do, but we're going to celebrate tonight. And I want to turn over the mic to our, do some celebrating tonight and some work tonight. And I want to turn over the mic to our lobby committee to review how well things went last week and where you all participated. So Phyllis, take the
Yep, I just want to
reins.
get it set up as a slideshow. All right. Lobby Day was a huge success. We were successful in so many ways. We could go by the numbers, we could go qualitatively, we could go by the stories we told, but by the numbers first. We had 38 co-sponsors and with 3 more new organizations, a number of, obviously all the rest of them are returning organizations. We had almost 400 people registered. That's more than 100 people than 6 months ago. And in the past, we seem to be pretty homogeneous in our age, but now we are much more age variation. We had a huge number of high school and college students who came to us from the Jewish climate movement, and they were a big benefit. And Judy is going to put into the chat one of our leaders and what she said to her senators about why she's there. We had 26 states who that lobbied. So when you think we've got 50 states, we're more than halfway there. 42 meetings, and we have still a bunch that would need to be scheduled because the new senators have just not been able to get things organized enough. We heard from one person who just said, it's so much chaos here, we can't get organized. So as they get organized, we will be having more meetings. We talked about important things that the senators needed to hear. Some senators wanted to hear from us. Some senators were not as pleased to hear what we needed to do, but we said what needed to be said. And people want to be involved more. I think that huge number of turnout shows that people want to do something and they know that this is meaningful. So this is our list of co-sponsors. We are so happy to have so many people on board. That's what brought our huge number of people together, because it really brought together what I would consider to be the cross-section of the American Jewry. If you look at this list, you will see the range of Judaism and the different types of Jews that we are, and that was so encouraging also. If we failed to put your name up there and you did sponsor, please let us know and we will make sure we recognize you. So states we lobbied at, as I said, 26 states, and you can see it's a nice list across the country of red states, blue states, and purple states. So that in itself is a big improvement over what we've done in the past, because we didn't necessarily have as many red states. So that I think is getting our message out. So what did we do in our meetings for those of you who were not there? We built relationships with staff, and that was extremely important because we made sure that we gave them a chance to talk. We shared ideas. We let them talk and we gave them feedback. They gave us feedback. We expressed our personal stories and our concerns. And Judy has put in the chat the one that this youth has put in, but the stories were very meaningful about why people care, what it means to them, what they're doing. We made specific requests for support, and this year, for the first time, we really worked very hard to have Democratic and Republican talking points look very different. So, for example, when we wanted to talk about preserving the IRA, we said that to the Democrats, but to the Republicans, we said we want to preserve energy tax credits. So we were using different language in a way to get to talk to them using their language. We talked about maintaining budgets for the Environmental Protection Agency and the polluters, make polluters pay Superfund Act for Senate Act 25. And most important, we had important dialogues, and we will be continuing. So I'm here to say thank you. Thank you to so many people, people who I recognize, whose names and faces I now recognize from lobbying day. Almost 400 people of us who participated. We had the 30 leads. Sometimes some states we had more than one person leading, and that's why we had 30 state leads. Our steering committee did what was all the behind the scenes effort to make it come off so well: recruitment, data management, scheduling meetings, researching, developing talking points, training leads, communications, and even attending extra meetings when we didn't have enough people to be attending. And I particularly want to thank Melanie Aaron for her overall leadership. And she was just the person to go to for anything, including getting out every single rabbi contact that she had across America. And it was an extensive network. Judy Belfin was amazing with her leads. It was like one-on-one leading coaching. From the individual telephone conversations she had with all of them, to the lead, to the answering the questions. Can't thank you enough. And then the third person, which I'm sorry it's not bolded. I thought it was. Amy Dick was amazing. She practically single-handedly talked to every single one of the senator's offices. And when they were so unorganized, she was persistent. She just kept on calling and calling and calling until probably they just broke down and said, it's probably going to be easier to make a meeting than to listen to this woman calling us every day. So she was truly amazing. And every one of our steering committee just did jobs that are just too numerous to mention. We also had a couple of people who were not on our steering committee, and I was so happy that they stepped up. Deb Nam Kane worked with Marilla in recruiting our co-sponsors. Madeleine Canfield is from Ajama, and she was the person who recruited all the youth for us. So she was a very valuable contact. And we had 2 interns, high school and college interns, Bella Krause and Lou Williams, who did a lot of the making of the spreadsheets and recording the data and just keeping us all organized. So we, as you know, we are not done. We have lots of work to do. We are doing this again in the summer. We lobby twice a year. We lobby for Tu Bishvat, and we lobby for before Tisha B'Av. So we will be joining everybody again in July of 2025. And as you can see from the screens of the screenshots, we are ordinary regular Jews, and we are talking to our senators, and we are having an impact. I think with so many meetings and with so many people have now heard of Jews and heard of the Jewish Earth Alliance. So I want to thank you, and thank you, Toda Rabbah, for so much.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. I'm so proud of our steering committee. I want everybody to unmute. We're going to say a big hallelujah in celebration of what a success this was. And we go from strength to strength. Come back for Tisha B'Av's lobby day. And everybody unmuted? All right, raise your arms and say hallelujah! Hallelujah! All my activists and advocates. These are no ordinary Jews, Phyllis. These are special, extraordinary Jews. So thank you, Phyllis and Melanie, so much and everyone on the as you said, everyone in the steering committee for gathering together everyone and making it such a big success. We are on a roll. Okay, thank you. So now I would like, I can't remember, did I thank Rabbi Tilchin for that beautiful opening and that beautiful song to soothe our souls. And now it's a pleasure for me to invite to our speakers platform, Madeleine Foote. Madeleine Foote received a bachelor's degree in history from the University of California, Irvine, and a master's of environmental management from the Nicholas School of the Environment at Duke University. Madeleine is the Healthy Communities Program Director. That sounds like a great, healthy title. At the League of Conservation Voters. During her 13 years at LCV, she's worked to advance policies that protect the environment and public health, focusing particularly on clean water, climate change, chemicals, environmental justice, oil and gas pollution, and climate change. Is that you in the Test It Maybe video on YouTube? Is that you?
Yes.
I'll have to Google that. Google YouTube and put in Test It Maybe about chemicals, about toxic chemicals. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and briefing us about our action alert that's coming up that we'll be acting on tonight too.
Great. Well, thank you, Devorah. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. I know I'm here to inspire you, but you also inspire me with your involvement and in your lobby day. So thank you. Again, my name is Madeleine Foote. I'm the Healthy Communities Program Director at LCV, League of Conservation Voters. And LCV is a national environmental organization that builds political power for people and the planet. We influence policy, hold politicians accountable, and win elections in order to create safe and healthy communities protected by a just and equitable democracy. And tackling the climate crisis in a way that delivers on environmental justice is our #1 priority. We also have a network of about 30 state partners, so you may know one of our state partners in your state as well. So tonight we are discussing the Environmental Protection Agency's Waste Emission Charge, or what we call the methane fee. Oh, sorry, I should have said start the slides. We can go to the second slide. So the methane fee is a critical part of the Methane Emissions Reduction Program, also known as MERP. So MERP was passed in 2022 as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, the largest single action in history to tackle the climate crisis, with the goal of driving down methane pollution from the oil and gas industry. Methane is released by the oil and gas industry through leaks in the production process and through intentional venting and flaring. And if we can't do the slides, that's okay. They're not the most detailed slides. So these methane releases are often accompanied by other harmful air pollutants like volatile organic compounds, VOCs. Those cause smog and worsen asthma and cardiovascular disease, as well as benzene, which is a known carcinogen. Over 10.1 million people in the United States, including 645,000 children under the age of 5, live within a half-mile of active oil and gas production and are then breathing air polluted with methane and these other harmful co-pollutants. So we know that cutting methane emissions is one of the best opportunities we have to immediately slow the rate of climate change as we move towards a clean energy future. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas that has more than 80 times the warming power of carbon dioxide in the near term, and is actually responsible for more than 1/4 of the warming that we're experiencing today. So reducing methane pollution from the oil and gas industry will have important impacts on the climate crisis, as well as protect the health of communities living on the front lines of these oil and gas operations, which are very often communities of color and low wealth communities. So the methane fee is a common sense measure to mitigate excessive waste of our natural resources, secure American energy, protect public health, and create good jobs. It was designed to complement the EPA's rule under the Clean Air Act that sets standards for methane pollution for the oil and gas industry. The methane fee, importantly, only applies to the largest polluters who emit over 25,000 metric tons of CO2 equivalent or more, and who fail to comply with the federal standards. Technologies to cut waste and pollution are easily available, and they're cost effective, so companies can easily avoid the fee if they implement those. The methane fee is then a common sense backstop to ensure polluters are cutting their waste, while also providing the great benefits of jobs and protecting public health and ensuring our national security. So, unfortunately, even though all of us here now know the methane fee is a great common sense solution to reduce pollution and fight the climate crisis, not everyone in Congress is on board. And many are unfortunately doing the bidding of their polluter allies to attempt to eliminate the methane fee. Republicans in the House and Senate have introduced what's called a Congressional Review Act resolution of disapproval, or simply a CRA. A CRA is not the same as regular legislation. It has a number of special rules as well as dangerous ramifications. So a CRA would invalidate a rule from the executive branch, in this case, the methane fee rule. And additionally, it would prevent future administration and agencies from ever doing another substantially similar rule in the future. So although the definition of substantially similar isn't clear, it has the intended effect of chilling future agency action. So if the CRA of the methane fee was to pass, the EPA would essentially be prohibited from putting forward another methane fee rule in the future, basically nullifying this key feature of the methane emissions reduction program. So obviously, this is not a great way to do policy, and it also has the potential to eliminate rules and regulations that are important for health and our lives, but that industries don't like. Another key component of the CRA is that it only takes majority in both chambers of Congress to pass, whereas usually you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass normal legislation. A president can veto a CRA, and Presidents Biden and Obama had to do that a few times. But with the situation that we're currently in, with a Republican president and a Republican-controlled Congress, we don't really expect Trump to veto a CRA if it lands on his desk. However, this does not mean a CRA on the methane fee is a done deal. Out of the many CRAs that have been filed, this one on the methane fee, we are very optimistic that we can actually beat. So how can you help? Well, first of all, as we know, and we've talked about, methane fee is a common sense measure to cut methane waste and will create good jobs and help our energy security while having the benefits of protecting our health and our climate. A little theme there on the messaging. And the fee only targets bad actors, the biggest polluters who aren't doing what they should to meet federal requirements. This is very powerful messaging. Secondly, Congress is very closely divided, with the House as one of the most closely divided in history. So currently the House stands at 218 Republicans to 215 Democrats. For the CRA to pass, they need every single Republican member to show up and to support it. And this is far from guaranteed. A number of Republican House members in the past have supported action on methane pollution, and we feel confident that at least a couple of them will oppose the CRA if we push them to do so. But they need to hear from their constituents, people like all of you, your friends, your neighbors, so they know that people are paying attention and want them to support action on methane by opposing the CRA. And making those messages personal, really emphasizing why you care, is critical. And if we can get enough Republican members committed to not supporting the CRA, not only could we win a floor vote, but hopefully they will go to leadership and say, please don't even bring this up in the first place. I don't want to vote on it. And that would be great because Speaker Johnson is very unlikely to put a bill on the floor that he would lose. So our goal is to get those Republicans to say they will not support the CRA until Speaker Johnson and Republican leadership don't bring it up. And lastly, we can't presume all Democratic members will oppose the CRA if they don't hear from their constituents about it. Members in oil and gas heavy states like Pennsylvania, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, they sometimes get nervous about these votes, and they need to know that their constituents care that they do the right thing. So even if you're pretty sure your House rep or your senator would oppose this CRA, it still helps to let them know that you're paying attention to what they're doing and you support them in what they're doing. And then, of course, when members of Congress do the right thing, we should thank them for it, whether it's supporting the methane fee or any other issue that you care about. You'd be surprised how much a thank you means in an often thankless job of being in Congress. So just to close there, thank you all for being engaged in the fight to maintain the methane fee and protect our climate for generations to come. As you know, now more than ever, it is critical that we stand up together for our public health, for environment, and for our democratic safeguards. So thank you again for inviting me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Perfect. Thank you. Whoops, here. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was very a good review and very clear, Madeline. And I wish we could get that screen, the screenshot of the satellite view of the methane leakers. It's very interesting how it's really, the red is across a narrow, kind of narrow strip, actually. So we do have some questions over here. We always are asking, are there specific Republicans we need to influence? Do you have, it sounds like it. Thanks for giving us hope that we can intercept this Congressional Review Act.
Definitely can. And we have in the past, actually, I'll tell you, one of the CRAs that we won in the first Trump administration was on methane pollution. So we famously got Senator McCain to go to the floor and do a thumbs down on this CRA.
Oh, yes, right.
And so we have saved methane in the past, and so we can definitely do it again.
Right.
Thinking about specific members, Republican members, particularly those states that I named, anywhere that has a lot of oil and gas drilling, those folks are all targets. If we're looking at the Senate, which is a little bit more difficult to win because the margins are a little further spread than in the House, not impossible, but it's a little more difficult. Senator Collins from Maine, Senator Murkowski from Alaska, Senator Graham, surprisingly, has, you know, in the past been supportive of climate action. And then we also have a new senator in Utah, Senator Curtis, who is, you know, a potential gettable person on an issue like this. So
What about
those
unpredictable?
Unpredictable. I doubt it. He was, you know, leading the fight against this as the Democrats were trying to pass the IRA in the first place. So I don't really think I don't think it's likely, but it's never, you know, it's never bad to let them know that you care. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that Melanie Aaron says that we need to speak to the Democrats too, because some are squishy.
Yes,
absolutely. Some are squishy who might need help to develop a strong backbone. And we know that that's the case, or it's fallen off their plate and they don't see it as being important. Judy Burlfine asks, is the funding for the program also threatened? Wouldn't that go right along with it?
Yes. So the funding would be through a separate bill and process. So the CRA only targets the rule itself, which implements the program and the fee. But the funding, you know, could be threatened in the budget that they have to pass in less than a month from now to keep the government open for the rest of the year, or in the reconciliation process where they're trying to find offsets for tax cuts. So we're going to be pushing back hard against that as well. And that's a little tougher, but this one, I think we can win. And, you know, if we can keep the rule intact, even if we lose the funding for now, hopefully we could get it back again in the future. So,
okay. Howard Sharfstein is asking to confirm that the methane rules apply only to fossil fuel sources and not biogenic methane sources like farming, like feedlots.
Yes, only oil and gas.
Okay. Stephen Davis, did you have a question?
Yeah, maybe I have two, but let me ask, at the state level, can there be legislation which accomplishes the same sort of thing? In California, for instance, has been a leader in a lot of this, and I'm just wondering whether there's a state level approach as well as Washington.
Yes. So we have had a lot of success in the past at state level policy. It's actually what got us to federal policy in the first place. Places like Colorado and Pennsylvania were passing state level policies. And so there was, when industry has to like play by different rules, they tend to go to Congress and say, can you do something about this? And so that helped us actually get the first rules out of the EPA and the Bureau of Land Management a while ago, 9 years ago. So yes,
so if
it's
there are
very
any
helpful.
states, and if there are any states that you think we can go after on this issue that would be productive, it'd be good to know about that too. The other question I have is really maybe a bigger one, but so there are the people who are beholden to industries who need fossil fuels and so forth and make a lot of money off. And then there are the representatives who are in their pockets. But beyond that, there's a large section of Americans who don't seem to worry about climate change. Like, yeah, what's the problem? I literally don't know how they can not worry about it, but I'm just wondering at the grassroots level and the education level, whether there's anything that can be done to get people off the, off their chairs and to worry about what's happening all around us.
Yes, this is a big challenge. This is, I think, one of the big challenges we've faced in November, right? Is like people didn't see the connection between what was happening in DC, what the Biden administration had done, what Congress had passed, and how that impacted their regular lives. So we passed all this money to invest in clean energy, and then people didn't actually see it playing out in their everyday life. Their energy was still expensive. And, there's a number of factors there. It takes a while to build wind turbines and solar panels. And so part of that was just, it takes time. But then part of it was we just weren't reaching people where they were. And so I think we really have to localize and personalize the impacts of climate change. And we have a lot of polling even post inauguration that shows that people still care about clean energy. They don't want Trump to stop investments in clean energy. They're concerned about, not cutting off oil and gas because, they're afraid about their lights shutting off in the middle of the night, but they don't want us to abandon clean energy. They want us to move to that future. And so I think really kind of talking to your friends, talking to your neighbors, talking to your family, and try to make the connection for them between this, frankly, a lot of disasters happening and how that is reflected in climate change. I think the story that you shared in the chat earlier with the woman in Maine who went to college and those winters aren't cold anymore. And then you have like freezing temperatures and like crazy Arctic storms coming later in the winter, like how all that climate chaos is actually, and all that weather chaos is related to climate. And so helping them to make that connection of what they're seeing in their local communities, in their lives, and how that relates. That's how I think we can get to people.
It's good to have some talking points available for those things. I mean, we all know probably what we would want to say, but it might be interesting to have, like, if it's this kind of person, try this, or if it's this kind of, neighborhood, try that. I don't know, just suggesting.
Yes, well, our website has a lot of talking points, and our action alerts always have talking points. Mirla also wanted to know if you've ever been to these sites where, let's see, let me find where to pose. Oh, where was her? Sorry. Oh, have you been to gas fields and seen the waste? Can you describe it? Isn't it invisible?
It is invisible, and I haven't been myself, unfortunately. I would love to do that,
that's
but
fortunate, actually.
yes. So it is invisible, but we have the ability to detect it. So I think Devorah, you mentioned the map that shows kind of where it is. We have floor technology that like you can point a camera towards where we know a methane leak is and just see it spewing out from the pipeline. So
Right, and that's the beauty of this satellite technology, is that they were able to develop
yes,
things that can show very clearly from satellite.
yes. And there are, like I just said, there's technologies to detect those leaks and there's technologies to fix them. And they are really cost effective. Most of the time, it doesn't even cost the utilities or the oil and gas companies anything. In terms, based on how much they make, it's basically pennies. But they have to have the push to do it. And so that's why we need the governments, we need state government, we need federal government to push them to adopt these technologies and make the air cleaner for the rest of us.
Well, thank you so much. We've got a few more questions, but I want to get to our action alert. That's really important. While we have everybody's attention here and their presence, we want to get them started on acting. But thank you so much. That was really very clear and helpful in our work. And we so appreciate, Madeleine, that you came tonight to fill us in on our action alert. So please keep up the good work, keep the faith. You gave us some hope that we still can get some things done, even if it's just standing in the way and saying, stop, right? Everybody think about the League of Conservation Voters and keep them in mind for your donations as well. And let me turn the view over to our stalwart member from our steering committee, Judy Burl-Fine, who will lead us in our action alert tonight to get it started going. Kick it off. You want to kick it off?
Okay, thank you, everyone. Usually Amy shares the screen, but her computer's not working as well, so I'm going to share my screen, but I'm a little rusty on this, so give me a second. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Methane? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
If I look like I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm looking at it. As we learned tonight from Madeleine, methane's a major component of natural gas, and the bad news, it's a very potent greenhouse gas, and leaking oil and gas pipelines, as well as deliberate venting and flaring, emit massive amounts of methane into the atmosphere. So that's a bad thing. The good news is that we have this amazing satellite technology, and I'll show you a picture on the next slide, where we can detect the emissions, so we don't have to count on the oil and gas people to let us know that they're releasing all of this. And the Inflation Reduction Act, the huge climate bill that the Biden administration passed, included the Methane Emissions Reduction Program, MERC, and part of that was the Waste Emissions Charge, which Madeleine told us all about. And it allows the EPA to levy a fine on companies for releasing methane into the atmosphere. So here's what the satellite technology allows us to do. The red locations are the places with the highest releases. Now, I'm sure if we had a bigger map of North America, we could see some problems here also. But it's amazing that we can detect this. And if you look at the United States, we have gas transmission pipelines. Those are the ones in blue all across the country. And so there's so many different locations. And, we often think, oh, so many people in disadvantaged areas are near these pipelines and these plants, but a lot of us live close to them also. So it's not really another person. It's affecting us very directly. So now we have the opportunity to take action and do something. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to reach out to our senators. And after you hang up from this call, I want you to follow up with your member of the House. And the message that we are sending, and Amy, hopefully you can put this in the chat, and you can take this verbatim, or you can make it longer or shorter, say it the way you want to say it. But these are the 4 bullet points that I'm including from our wonderful action alert that Jewish Earth Alliance Steering Committee puts together each month. 1, protect the waste emissions charge from any congressional rollback. That's the key message. Vote against it. As Madeleine said, valuable gas is wasted through venting, flaring, and leaks, and it deprives us of energy while also exposing us to dangerous pollution. We could use this gas that we're just burning and venting into the air. And as a Jew, our tradition has taught us to view creation with awe and to do our best to steward our precious resources. So please vote against any effort to roll back the waste emissions charge. So the way that you do this is to contact your senator. You can submit a comment on their website. You just, it's their last name, like, for example, I'm in California, padilla.senate.gov. So type that into your browser, or if you want to call them now, this is the number for the switchboard, and you can either leave a message or type something in on the senator's website. And if you have any questions, let me know, but we're going to give you some time to do it. And if you've finished, put in the chat that you finished. And if you do one, do your other senator, and then definitely do your member of Congress.
Will this sample message be on your website as well? On the Jewish Earth Alliance website?
If you go to the Jewish Earth Alliance website and you look at the action alert, at the bottom of the action alert is actually an even more extensive message.
Thank you.
Sorry. Devorah, do we want to wind down?
Yes. I think
Thank
so.
you, everyone. Keep it up. Do the rest of them after we hang up. I'm going to let Devorah close out the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Judy. Always, your persistence really counts. Your determination and your clarity of explaining everything really is extremely motivating. So thank you all for coming and celebrating a great lobby day. And we hope that our next meeting, March 18th, you'll invite a friend and they will also find that Jewish Earth Alliance gives them an outlet, a reason, a way to feel that we have the ability, that we are empowered to work with our Congress people to stop any of the rollbacks of the Inflation Reduction Act and all of the wonderful work that has been going on in the last few years. Last week in synagogue, we got the 10 Commandments in our Torah reading. And this week is Mishpatim, when we set up governance and laws. Last week was Revelation, and this week is getting down to work. And still we have in our heads the words of Yitro, Moses's father-in-law from last week. You can't do it alone, he told him. You can't do this alone. You will wear yourself out. My friends and activists, for us, every day is Earth Day, and we have work to do, but it's much better together than alone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you next month, March 18th, same time, same station. Again, invite a friend who doesn't know what more to do about the climate emergency and tell them that we have an answer. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. Lo alecha ligmor. It's not your duty to complete the work. It's not up to you to finish it, but neither are you free to desist from it. It's not our obligation to finish the work. We can't all finish it, but neither is it ours to give up. Good night. Thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you again next month's meeting. And may you have pleasant dreams of hope and change. And we'll see you again soon.